Welcome to today's exclusive show. With me, I have Simon Mwangi, Amai Olubayi, and Peter Maina. Karibuni sana. Simon, if you can just give us a brief introduction about our guest today. I wonder many people who are these today we have on our show.
Yeah.
So Simon, just tell us more about these people.
First of all, Gilly, thank you for hosting me on your show tonight. And I'm honored to have these two gentlemen here. We have. Let me start with in terms of alphabetical order. And before I continue, I'll ask the fans to post comments, ask questions, because I'm sure some of them have been coached by these two gentlemen. So let me start with Amai Olubayi. He said offset, he was telling us that he has coached for 32 years. And asked us how old we are. So,
definitely we were not even born when he started coaching. So
yes. So it's an honor to have such an experienced coach on our side. So Amai Olubayi, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you, Simon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So Amai Olubayi has coached for 32 years, but he's currently at Moi Girls. So he's been at Moi Girls since 2011. He has won the regionals or county. I'm not sure how they are named nowadays.
County.
County. 2012 to 2015, and then missed a little bit, then won in 2017. Currently, you haven't won any national titles with Moi Girls, so it's a challenge to you. And then we have with us also Joseph Maina. How are you, Joseph?
I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I think you're one of the most popular guests, other than Olubayi here, of course, because the moment we said we are going to have you on our show, we had a lot of comments.
Oh, thank you. Positive.
Yeah, of course, positive.
Of course,
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
But there was one who was saying that ulimlemea sana when you are reffing or umpiring his games.
It's normal for coaches to blame the refs when they are losing.
Of course. So you've been at Kerugoya up to 2018. That is from 2008. You've won
2002.
2002. 2002. You've won the regionals 2008 to 2019. Yeah.
To 2019. Yeah.
19. Yes. And then you are the first person to have a team from Central Province, a girls team from Central Province,
taking the nationals.
At 2010. That's awesome. And then you've participated in the nationals between the years 2008 to 2013, 2015 to 2016, and then 2017 to 2019. So, guys, as you can hear, this is a very, very good panel. They've coached, of course, the young girls, the young ladies, and you're here to discuss about high school hockey and the game in terms of the ladies, the young ladies. So let's start with Olubayi, since you're the most experienced between us. Why did you decide to coach hockey and not any other sport?
Actually, I'm an accidental coach.
Mm-hmm.
I did not set out to coach hockey.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a series of accidents, and then I've coached women mostly, also by accident. When I was in, not by choice. When I was in school, all right. When I finished university, I trained as a teacher. I ended up in a girls' school in Busia in 1988. So of course I began to coach girls because I was a teacher in a girls' school. Then after that, I went to school in the US. Men there don't play as much field hockey. They play ice hockey. So again, in my college in New Jersey, I ended up coaching a girls' team, not by design, just accidentally. And then when I came to Kenya, my friends who knew that I loved the sport of hockey happened to be associated with ladies' teams, so they led me to girls' schools. So it's just not by design, but I love it. I think I've done a good job with the girls.
Okay, great. Maina, same story.
Yeah.
Is it by coincidence? Is it by choice
Or by
What
mistake.
happened?
or by mistake?
What happened is that after college, that is Nairobi University, I was posted to Kerugoya. So when I went to Kerugoya, I found an elderly coach. There was a man, the late Mr. Migwe. And what I realized is that he used to get his team on that day when they were going for competitions. And what he used to do is that you take the team, then tell me where when the young blood. We go for the games. And I remember once in around, I think it was 2 or 3, we went for some games and we were beaten thoroughly. In a way that when the girls left the field, they left me on the left side of the field. I decided to run away because I never wanted them to be associated with that team. They were thoroughly beaten, and you'd wonder what is this that we brought. So that is how I found myself in hockey.
So you found I don't want to say a sinking ship, but you come and rescued the situation.
In fact, it was just a team for the Funkies, nothing more. There was no zeal to win. There was no skill. They were just there for the sake of it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, over the years, you've been coaching these ladies. Obviously, there is a time probably you are asked to coach a man's team or the boys' team. And as Olubayi has said, you've found yourself coaching the women's team for long. Is it a decision that you find that you have no regrets, that is coaching the ladies instead of the men? Let's start with you, Maina, Mr. Maina.
Mine, being honest, I've only coached girls. In fact, I started coaching boys when I was taken to Kangema High School. That is early last year. And initially, I never coached boys, but they are totally different. Boys are in a world of their own. You tell them to do this, they do the other. They have their own things. But for girls, what you tell them is what they do. The only thing difference between boys and girls is that boys get the concepts faster than the girls. But as for doing their own mad things, the boys are crazy when they want to do whatever they want to do. But for girls, I just found myself there. I've been with girls for that long. I only left Kerugoya to go for a promotion to Kangema, and that is when I met boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Mr. Olubayi?
I don't regret, of course. If I regretted, I wouldn't have been doing it for that long. So there's no regret. As a matter of fact, I enjoy it. I also coach Impala hockey team. It's a boys team. It is young men who have left school. So that basically from the age of 19, the oldest guy is 38. So so you ask about the difference in coaching men and women?
Yeah.
The major difference is in the way you interact with the players. The men's teams tend to be more task-oriented, and they want to prove to each other and to you that I can do it. And then you can handle them in a tough, rough way. The girls, in my experience, do better when you build a relationship with them. So they relate to you. They see you as an uncle, kind of. That way, then they are able to relate with you easily and play better. With the boys, I could go to the pitch and say, what are you doing on Monday, bana? Bure kapisa, get up. And if I say that Gilly at the age of 16, probably shouldn't be in the show now. So that's just the difference, emotional sensitivity.
Yeah.
But otherwise, a player is just a player. Just the differences that make a man, and a woman, a woman. Emotional sensitivity, you just have to be more gentle towards the women. But of course, you have to be firm, but in a more sensitive way. With the men, you don't have to be sensitive. You can just be tough and get away with it.
Yeah.
In fact, boys don't take it personally. For girls, you do this today and tomorrow it is personal. Especially when they're in the field, use
I
some
feel attacked.
funny language.
I feel attacked right now because I'm the only lady over here.
High school hockey is very different with the girls.
Yeah, it's true.
Everything is emotional and they are very personal on whatever things. You quarrel one today and tomorrow you find her friends are not even coming to the field. But for boys, you do it today and tomorrow they have forgotten.
Yeah. And
Another challenge.
Yes.
Another challenge is developmental. When the youngsters get to the ages of 13, going to 16, you know, there's part of growth, and then the whole thing about the psychology and the development of the young people. The girls tend to become more self-conscious in a way that can inhibit their physical expression on the pitch. Whereas the boys now get more aggressive and become better players at that stage. At that stage, for the girls, a lot of sensitivity, the way they're developing, they realize now they are women. Now the question is, I want to be a lady, should I play? Maybe I'll develop masquembe. So you have to be alive to those. I'm sure Gilly can comment on that.
Good one. And before I hand over the show back to Gilly, or the interview back to Gilly, we've talked offset about the development of the young women, and as they grow towards becoming good players. We've seen, like you, Mr. Olubayi, you've been able to coach some of the top players. They've even played for the national team. How is the experience taking this young girl, as Mr. Maina said, offset? How is the experience taking this girl who has never even touched a hockey stick to being able to become a Kenyan international playing for the country, Mr. Olubayi?
Oh wow! I guess the best way for me to explain that feeling is to give an anecdote. Sometime, I think it was in 2017, two top girls teams in Kenya were playing, and that was Strathmore University against Telkom Kenya. So I went to watch the team, and it occurred to me that 10 of the 21 players on the pitch had been coached by me. And I mean, there's nothing I could say. I was just sitting there and I was saying, wow, I think I've done a good job for the game. It's a very fulfilling feeling. You feel happy. And particularly for me, because I'm a volunteer coach, I'm not a teacher and I don't get paid to coach. So my fulfillment comes in the success of the young people. So when they get to the pinnacle of the game, playing for the national team, playing for Strathmore, playing for Telkom, I feel that the effort I've put in is worth it. That's my payment. Well, I don't get any other payment. So it's a great feeling.
Yeah. So Mr. Maina, as you are saying, now I think the fans can hear what you are saying about developing this young girl to become a player who can challenge or who can play at the highest level. And we know development of hockey in the country starts at Form 1. We can say at Form 1 for a majority. How is it for you as a coach to take this young girl, to convince her, number one, to play the sport, and to convince her, number two, that she can be a top player?
I think the challenge initially was when our team never used to perform. You not convince anybody to come to the field. And from that time, I remember I started using footballers. You know, those are people who are, and in football, you get girls who are okay with anything. So I got from football. But when we started moving out of school and going for what they call funkies, it was easier because now you don't need to market yourself. They'll come, you're the one to say, I want you, I don't want you. You get out of the field. So you're able to select from a wide range. Especially when we went to Rwanda in 2008 under the captainship of Caroline Gushu. She's a Telkom player. From there, selling hockey in Kerugoya was very easy. They would come. Very many would come. Some of them thinking that it is just easy to go out, not knowing that there is a process for you to be able to go out. When you excel, it is very easy to get a team. But the problem is if you're not performing.
Over to you, Jilly.
Yeah, I'm listening to such interesting stories over here. But then I like Mr. Maina, just like you said, building a player from the football team to a hockey player to be a star. How is it? Is it challenging? Do you find it so hard? Because now you have to do it every single year, because from once come into this system, you have to convert them from not playing hockey at all into playing hockey, or from playing soccer to playing hockey. How do you do it?
What happens is that in hockey, high school, you have to sacrifice. Especially your weekends are not the normal weekends. That is when you have more time. During the weekdays, there are so many activities. You have clubs. Your games time is between 4 and 5:30. Before the girls come to the field, it's already 4:30. So we are talking about 1 hour. So what happens is that you have to sacrifice your time. Sometimes you even find friends and ask you, "Kwani umekuwa wapi?" And you have been around Kerugoya. But what is happening is that on Saturday and Sunday after church, you get the girls to the field, because you don't just want to play the normal hockey. There is what you call PE hockey, whereby she wants to get to the field to be seen, and after that, you're done. You want to excel. So for you have to sacrifice a lot.
Okay. Mr. Olubayi, do you have the same experience transforming people from a different sport, or just finding a new player who's interested in playing hockey and doesn't even know how to hold the stick? How is it for you?
Easy. It's very easy. Just players who have played any other sport in their lives are easier to teach the sport, because I've got a psychomotor coordination, I've got a desire to compete. So it's actually easier when they come from a different sport.
Okay.
To just give an example, 2 of the best players I've coached were actually footballers. And they still play for the national team, they still play for their clubs, but I got them from football. Yeah.
Even Caroline Gush was a footballer.
Yeah, even me. Was a hockey player, was a footballer, and now he's a hockey player. People transforming, and it's all because of you great people behind us. And I think for someone to excel in sports, you have to be so disciplined. What's your experience with discipline of players who you are nurturing from high school? We can start with you, Mr. Olubayi.
For all the years I've coached hockey, 32 years, I think I've only had 2 girls who would say a little indisciplined, that got into problems with the school administration because of discipline. All the others have never had a discipline problem. So there must be something there in sport that changes the mentality of these young people as they develop, that they don't fall into indiscipline issues again in the school.
Okay. And just to expound on that, how do you make sure that they balance academics and sports? Because that is so important. The reason they're in school is because of sport, of academics, and then now they have to perform also in sports.
What happens is that first, when they start excelling, you're the one who is now talking. You choose who you want. And one of it is that you put a requirement. You must be doing well in class. There are those that you'll excuse because their level of skill is quite high, but mostly you must ensure that those girls are working in class. But for a few, there are some few that you just close your eyes and decide that this skill cannot just go because of class, and you just work on them from the field.
Yeah.
So what I do, because I'm not involved with them on a daily basis, I only come there in the afternoon 3 times a week. I draw on the girls that have excelled in school and professionally, that have been in a particular school I've taught in, or in other schools, So I do invite them to talk to the girls. So they'll come on a Saturday afternoon, and I'll come with 4 or 5 of them, 6 of them. And I'll tell them to introduce themselves to the girls. So they'll say, for example, I'm Gilio Kumu from Strathmore. I was in this school. This one says, I'm Dr. So and so. I played hockey. I'm an architect. I'm an actuary. I'm a teacher. I'm a nurse. And that way, the message that sports does not stop you from excelling academically is demonstrated to them in a very strong way. It's better than just saying, oh, work hard, you can balance. But when they see that there are other women like them who have balanced and achieved professional success and still play hockey or did play hockey, the message gets home.
Yeah.
There's also an input from there was, for me, the people who helped me very much was Senge from Strathmore, when he promised to give them scholarships. Then there was a coach from USIU by the name of Mwangi. Mwangi also talked to the girls, and from there we were good to go. Because if you look at the 2 universities, you'll find so many girls from Kirogoya, and it is through Senge and Mwangi.
Okay. And there's this question coming in for you, Mr. Olubayi, about you hosting friendlies with DFG Wolverines. And we've seen some of your players are also joining DFG Wolverines. How have you impacted DFG Wolverines?
Oh, the Wolves.
Yeah.
All right. It's a bit on the lines of what Mr. Maina just spoken about, the connection with Mr. Mwangi of USIU at the time and Stenge of Strathmore. We naturally have a network with the hockey fraternity. So what tends to happen is, for example, several of the girls that play for Wolverines, I did coach them in school when they were students those days. And they come to train with my Impala boys. So there's that connection and relationship. So those coaches do approach me and ask, we want players. So I tell them, you come to school and pick the ones you want. So the thing is, once 1 or 2 girls join a particular club, you find that when graduation occurs, all the friends want to go to Wolves because that's where my friend is. At some other time, it used to be Strathmore. I want to go to Strathmore because so and so is at Strathmore. So it's just those connections among coaches. So we have relationships with the coaches of the clubs, and that way, then the girls are able to go to whichever club they wish. But in terms of just to comment on Wolverines, we've had a good impact on Wolverines because I've taken some players from us, but they've even had a greater impact on Moe girls. Unbeknown to most of the audience, our top player currently in the school comes from a very disadvantaged background, and her school fees is being paid for by Wolverines. So she's sponsored by Wolverines, and they pay her fees or her tuition and everything. So Wolverines have been very good to us.
That is nice. Okay, before I hand over to Simon, because I know Simon has also burning issues that he wants to ask. There's this problem, about parents. Like me, there's some parents who can't support their players in school. They feel that it's a waste of time going out. And hockey is so occupying because 1, you'll be out of classes. 2, when you're going for nationals and East Africa, sometimes people are in school. How do you deal with such kind of parents? Kuna tu ule mzazi atasema, no, my kid is not going. And that is that player that you're looking to help you maybe win the title that time. We can start with you, Mr. Maina.
Yeah, mine initially, I have an example of one player who the parents came to school, both the mother and the father came and said that you will not play any game in school. And I remember the girl, she was a captain of Strathmore University, Lucy Mbogwa.
Mm-hmm.
So Lucy told the parents, what you're going to do is that if I ever become number 2, because Lucy was number 1 from Form 1, she was only number 2 during the mocks. So what Lucy told the father is, I'll play hockey, and if in any term I become number 2, I'll quit hockey, I'll leave the game. And they had to sign, they signed for that. And what happened is that in that end of term. Lucy got an A, and number 2 got a B+. There was no A-. So from there, the parents just left everything. Then after that, Lucy, during their year, was the best in the school. In fact, that was my selling point. No parent would tell me that my daughter is not going to the field because she's not going to perform. Lucy was the yardstick, and she went to Strathmore. She finished. She got a scholarship to do her masters, and that is hockey. So we have parents like that, and the problem is, sorry to say this, the problem also comes from the teachers themselves.
Yeah.
You call the parents and tell them your daughter will be wasted in the field, and the parents come burning now because they're told by a teacher. So you have to sit down the parents and tell them this is what happens, these are the opportunities in hockey, and if this happens, we are going to deal with it this way. Because the main problem mostly is not even with the parents. There are some people, when you start excelling, they have to pull you down.
Yeah,
and you'll not even notice. I remember once I had a very good goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper was in CU, Christian Union. And I remember the patron telling the girl, you get to hockey and you're interacting with sinners. So the girl just left. The girl left. When I tried to talk to her, she told me, no, I'm okay with hockey. I'll never play it again. Only later to realize that it is one of the teachers who told her not to interact with sinners. And that is it. Those are the challenges that we face.
Mr. Olubayi.
All right. I've had similar problems with parents. But I mean, I'm happy to note that only 2 parents were very, very difficult and insisted on pulling the students out of the team. The first one was in 2001 when I was in St. George's, and the other one was in 2014 at Moi Girls. But what I normally do is I anticipate that there'll be problems with the parents. Because when children begin to develop the age of 13 to 16, some of them naturally become mischievous.
Yeah.
And some of them, their academic performance may drop, not because of hockey, but just because they're growing and they become a little naughty. It's normal. So because I expect that, I build relationship with parents very early. When they're in Form 1, I get the telephone numbers of all the parents. And I will introduce myself and send
Mr. Olubayi, we've
Christmas
lost
wishes and Easter. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Better now. Okay. So I build a relationship with the parents beforehand so that when problems occur, they already know whom I am and I can talk to them. The other thing I do is I collect the exam results for 5-6 years. I get the school mean score and the mean score for students that play hockey and basketball. And all the time, it has been the case that the girls that play those 2 sports will have a higher mean than the rest of the school. So when the individual parents complain about the performance of the girl, sometimes I call them to the office and we meet and I give them the results. I say, okay, look at the results. These are the hockey players and the basketballers. These are the rest of the school. So where here does hockey cause failure? Yeah. So for most parents, when you talk to them and they respect you, they take your word for it. Yeah. Meantime, they say, sawa, nimekuachia huyo msichana lakini akianguka Olubayi, ujua ni wewe. And then it comes down to also to what Mr. Maina said. A lot of times when the girls don't want to play or the parents insist on stopping the girls from playing, it is because, unfortunately, some teachers go to tell the parents to stop the girls from playing. Yeah. I had 2 cases where one of the teachers, senior teacher, would wait for me to get to the school at 5. When I entered the school, she comes to stand at the edge of the school fence to watch. Immediately this girl comes to play, she calls the mother. Ameingia tena kwa uwanja. All right. So there's a bit of incitement from the teachers stopping the students from playing. But I don't blame the teachers wholly it goes back to the emphasis in our education, particularly in the public schools.
Yeah.
There is a feeling that sport is a waste of time, and that any available time should be spent cramming and cramming and cramming. So then, when immediately the child drops by point, Mr. Maina knows better than I do. When the mean score drops by 0.001234, the mother is called, or hockey. Why she failed hockey? But okay.
True.
In fact, you find some will be playing soccer and hockey, but when she drops because of hockey, not even soccer. Soccer is nowhere to be found. And if you look at the school activities, soccer takes more time than hockey. Hockey, you're just there because you start with the very high levels. Like for us, we start with the county, we go for the regionals, zonals, then we go for regionals, and we are on for nationals. If you look at soccer, you start from something called a unit, a very small unit. And so they take more time during soccer, but nobody will ever call the parent because of soccer. It is because of hockey. Yeah.
Okay. Back to you, Simon.
Yeah, we've spoken about some of the challenges affecting the young ladies games, but there's one area I wanted us to highlight, and that is the area that where do these girls, most of these girls, go to? You've said that some of the girls are absorbed by the colleges, that is the likes of USIU, Strathmore. There are some that are picked by the top clubs, Telcom, who are now called Blazers, and then we have the likes of Wolverines who also come in. But what about the rest of the talent? Because these are only two schools, Moigas and Kerugoya, but there are other schools like Inyolo, which is also a top girls playing school. There are a lot of schools that play hockey, but the number of clubs, women clubs, they are so few. So where do these girls go to? Probably
the problem mostly,
yeah.
Okay, we'll continue. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, we start with Olubayi.
There's a lot of wastage. A lot of girls play hockey in school, but very few continue with hockey in college and beyond. I find in college, and Gilly will comment on that better than me, when the girls go to college, some of them drop off from playing sport, not just hockey. It may be also handball or volleyball or netball. But the boys tend to continue playing. So what I find tends to happen when they go to college, when the girls now get boyfriends in school, they will go and spend time watching the boyfriend play, but the boyfriend doesn't spend his time going to watch the girl play.
Exactly.
Then you find that more boys continue playing hockey in college than girls do. But I think Gilly may give us a better insight.
Yes, Mr. Maina. Before Gilly answers, let's hear from Mr. Maina first.
What happens is that mostly for schools like now Kerugoya is not in town, and most people believe that hockey is played in Nairobi. So if girls are not able to go to Nairobi, most of them will just drop. There are those people, even like for example here in Kerugoya, who do not even know what hockey is. And some of them, when they come as fans, they look at the hockey sticks like weapons. What will happen if you swing that stick? What if you are hit? Now the problem is, if, for example, in that anticipation, one of the players is injured, you can be sure that you'll never get her in the field again. And girls are very sensitive on injuries. And the problem with the hockey ball is it goes for the face. So that is where our problem comes in. If one gets a scar, you'll be assured that when they go to those other levels, they drop. Also, apart from, let's say, USIU, the SKU, and Strathmore, other universities do not take hockey seriously. They just do it for KUSA. And what I've realized with KUSA is that they are called who can play hockey. You get there and you wonder, are these hockey players, or they are just there for the small allowance that they get. So that is how hockey dies, especially for girls. For boys, they struggle. They look for sticks, but you don't expect most girls to go and buy sticks to just play for a university. They don't.
Mr. Olubayi, I can just disagree with you a bit. It's not. My thinking is, it's not about what we get after. Some people are less privileged. It takes, like in Sinyolo Girls, I was the only one during that year who came to Strathmore University. Not because they didn't perform or they were not equally good like me, but because they were not able to get to Nairobi, and they didn't know that they can really play hockey apart from high school hockey. So nowadays, actually, when I came first to Nairobi, and I thought, what? There's a hockey pitch, and it's carpeted. That time I didn't know it's a turf. I couldn't sleep the whole night. I was like, no, there's no way there's such a good field for hockey. So there's people who can't really be able to come to Strathmore. And Strathmore, USIU, KU, they cannot bring in all these ladies who play hockey, because they'll go for the best and those people who have performed, right? So the ones who've remained, they don't have one to push them. Because as for me, I was pushed to see that there is hockey beyond high school. That's why I'm here. And for the other people from Kerugoya and Moi Girls, they were also pushed. You guys gave them exposure. You're playing friendlies. You're going for East Africans and nationals. But we bet there are some people out here who play better hockey, but they don't get to nationals, meaning they won't be seen. So I think that's where talent goes. If we can really come up with a better program that can bring in good hockey players to continue developing the game, I think we can be somewhere. Back to you, Simon.
There is also another challenge that I've noticed, is that even the clubs, most clubs do not give the equipment to the new players. Graduate now being told to buy a hockey stick at 7,000. So that one now prohibits. I remember that most of the girls who were in the clubs in Nairobi, when they left high school, they were very excited to come to Nairobi. They were signed into clubs, but the problem was now the sticks. They'd call me back, Mr. Maina, can you get me a stick? For those who are lucky enough, if you had them, would give them. But you see, for high school student, now you have left school, you come to Nairobi, then you call your parents and tell them you want a hockey stick, and they ask you how much, 7,000. Most parents will not do that.
True.
Unless the parents are very supportive, but most won't do that.
Aba, you'll be bought for the Maharaja. You hit a ball and
the wooden.
The wooden one.
Yeah.
Speaking about as Mr. Olubayi, you said that wastage. Why hasn't KSS? It's usually a very long name. KSS, very many S's.
Just say the KSS.
Let's just say the Secondary Sports Association. Why haven't they probably linked up now with the counties or the national governing body or the county hockey associations to come up with leagues for these girls? Because we all know, we've all played high school hockey or coached high school hockey. We know first term, 3 months is not enough for these girls to develop the game. Mr. Olubayi.
I think that call will be made on Kenya Hockey Union, not the secondary schools. Because the secondary schools sports association has its mandate only to deal with sports in secondary schools. So outside the secondary schools, that will be the role of the Kenya Hockey Union through the county associations. But in Kenya, the only county association that is active is only Mombasa. It's the only one that is active and actually have matches, and they do have a league. Only one. That's the problem.
That's the problem. And is first term enough, even if it's at high school level with the secondary sports association? Is first term enough for not only hockey but all sports? Should we be playing a yearly league, or is it just the term-wise the way we are used to?
But then nowadays things have become even harder, because the way before we left school, we were on with the hockey and basketball and rugby. But the sports were squeezed. You're supposed to use the minimum time possible. Initially we used to spread them and say that we'll be going for around 5 weekends before you go for nationals. Nowadays they are squeezed, and you're told if you're doing the counties, you're supposed to do them within 1 week. and that will take several. It brings so many teams in a way that there is even a challenge whereby you are not able, even you cannot heal the injuries because you're supposed to do them in 1 week. You're supposed to be through, and what they're arguing is that we were wasting so much time. That is where the problem comes in, because sports are taken to be a waste of time. So you're being told you're taking so much class time, and therefore you're supposed to conclude. You're taking so much money. So, for example, if there is something like drama is what we call the main activities. Sports and these other things are other activities. In fact, if you ask some principals, sorry to say, and ask them what activities are there over the weekend, we have drama and other activities. Among the other activities is sports. So we have a problem with those people take sports to be.
So a cultural problem, because as you've said, both of you have said this, it's more of we concentrate on education and we don't concentrate on sports. And what should we do? What can we do to change that sort of mentality?
If I may chip in there, it's the school leadership. It has to do with the vision of the school leadership. If you look at the schools that have done consistently better over the years in all sports, be they rugby, football, basketball, netball, you'll find that they tend to be associated with particular principles.
Yeah, exactly.
If you take Upper Hill, before Upper Hill, there was Langata Secondary. Before Langata Secondary, there was Kamukunji. And now there's Dagoretti Secondary School. The same principle. And the schools tend to do well all the time. If you go to Mombasa, there was Shiba Hills, and now it's going to a different school. The same principle doing it. If you go to Western Basketball Days, Maseno School, it was the one principle that was doing it all the time because they support the sport. If you go to, why is it always Misihu and Signolo? Because of the leadership of those schools. So unless the top leadership of the schools are flexible and supportive of sports, then it will be very difficult for school sports to grow, as clearly demonstrated by the principals that are interested in the sport, and their schools, whichever school they go to, always do well in sports.
In fact, I agree with Mr. Olubayi. Like I told you, in 2014, I never went for the East African Games. There was a change of principles. And I remember during that year, I had to beg to get sticks. And only got the sticks when we qualified for nationals. I borrowed some from a school called Kerugoya Boys. They gave us 5 sticks that were wooden, and you can imagine if girls were used to playing with the right sticks, with the wooden stick. But we struggled and got to the nationals. That is when we got sticks. So it depends on who the principal is. The one who was previously before that one, I remember I used to call Olubayi and tell him I want to come for friendlies. And you tell me, what day do you want to come? Whatever day he says, I would confirm even before I go to the principal because I knew I would get it. But after that, now you find you're begging to get sticks. You're begging for those trips. It depends on the principal. Largely, the principal is the one who will either going to make it or kill you.
Yeah, I think I have an experience, an anecdote that captures what Mr. Maina is saying and what we're discussing. In one of the schools I was coaching before, we were the champions of the province at the time. They were called provinces. We were the champions. And we are preparing to go to nationals. So I go for training, and I don't find students. I only find Form 1s and Form 2s. So when I followed up with the administration to find out where has the team gone to, I was told to my face, Mr. Olubayi, we have decided to concentrate on academics. So that captures it.
And a class was built in your field.
Yes, Mr. Maina knows. Classes were built on the pitch. So it takes actually an interested principal to change it.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we've heard a lot about the challenges in high school, and I'm thinking that probably we've answered my next question as to why we've struggled to have junior sides for the women's team, that is the under 21s, under 18s, let's say under 15s. Are those part of the reasons why even the national body is struggling to get such teams?
I think from my point
That's
of
not the
view,
reason.
even Kenya Hockey Union should come to the ground, because they're only stationed in Nairobi. So if they were able to come to, let's say, Kerugoya, Kisumu, and get the play, you'll get, there is a big field of talent. But you see now, some people will not even come to Nairobi because they don't even know where Nairobi is, especially for those people from these sides of ours. You take them to Nairobi, some of them are very excited because it is their first time to be in Nairobi. So I think Kenya Hockey Union should also devolve and come down and look for these talents. We are not short of talent. Talents are there. It's only that the scouting is the problem.
Okay.
Right. Just to add on that, so it's not that the talent is not there. I think the Kenya Hockey Union has got its own challenges, most of which is finances. I remember in the past, in a very sporadic manner, they would come up with a program for under 16s and under 17s, and they did get the teams they wanted, and they even went. I think they went to Morocco. At some other time, they went to Latin America. So the problem is not that the young talent is not there, but it's just that KHU has got financial and organizational challenges that impede its capacity to tap into this talent in an organized fashion.
Yeah, well said. I think time is far much gone. I want to take a few comments and questions from the fans, and then you can answer them. We wrap up the show. I can see a lot of comments here.
I think with Simon, people were really waiting for this.
We're really waiting for this. Yes. Let's see. Wow, there are many. Let me see. Jilly, do you have some questions there? Probably, because I can see there are a lot of comments. I'm trying to get the questions.
Yeah, before you can figure out which questions to ask from those. I think there are so many important ones that you can ask. I can just ask about organizing friendlies. I've seen Kerugoya going to international school tournaments. Moi Girls playing friendlies with other teams and other schools. For match preparedness or a tournament preparedness, I've seen you guys go to an extent of organizing friendlies out of school. How does that help you to build a team heading towards a major tournament? We can start with me, Dubai.
Tournaments are important in that for the younger players, for ones that it's actually the first time they have ever in their lives played in a competitive match. So then it gives us the opportunity to see which players can perform under the expected pressure and tensions of a game situation. It also helps us to know which players can function in what positions on the pitch and specific roles that they can play. So it's a very, very important in terms of preparation for the teams. But I saw they are making a distinction between the national schools and public tournaments. Is there a reason for that? Because there's no reason I'll not comment. If there's a reason, I'll comment.
No. There's no like a major reason. I'm just saying tournaments that I've seen you guys participate in.
Now, I think before you go for a tournament, you look at the quality. What are you going to gain from the tournaments? Because like you talk about the public tournaments, what happens is that you are so many that in a day, your players just play for 8 minutes and you have paid. So I remember the first time I met Mr. Olubayi, we were in such a tournament. And so we sat down. He was a stranger to me. I never knew him. So we sat down and asked ourselves, yes, you have been here for a whole day. How many minutes have you played? You had played 20, you had played 10. And by then, Kerugoya was not even known. And in those tournaments, it depends on how known you are. So we decided, instead of going for those major tournaments, Mr. Olubayi from Nairobi invites a club or 2 clubs, then invites Kerugoya, and Moi Girls or St. George's when he was there, and we have a very good day. You don't have to go for 2 days. You're about 4 teams. You play full matches. It is competitive because there is at least a club, and that is how we are able to gain. But going for these tournaments whereby you pay 2,000 or you pay 3,000, and all you can do in a day is 20,000, and you have to remind them to remember you that you have only played for 10 minutes, you're begging. But when you get here, you get quality. And I remember for the last years before I left Kirugoya, I always made sure that I went to Moi Girls, because Mr. Olubayi would get a club, would get other 2 teams, and we would play and get trophies. And our girls would enjoy, because even for their lunch and everything is prepared. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah. Now to the comments. I think, Jila, I need to get another device. My phone keeps crashing whenever you want to read comments. So this name is difficult. I don't know how to pronounce it. So sorry if I butcher your name. Opuk Lueni says, I have tried coaching a girls team and it's just overwhelming. Let me work with the boys. So any word of advice to to this coach?
With girls, you have to be patient. Be very patient. And also don't, I think what most people confuse is, if you're a good player, you assume that you're going to be a good coach. It does not happen that. One, you go to girls and start dribbling. You don't show them how to dribble. They just look at you and you'll be frustrated because you expect them to be as good as you. But girls, you go step by step. How do you hold a stick? You show them how to dribble. They do it today. Tomorrow they're using the back stick. And you told them yesterday you don't use the back stick. So the patience counts.
I think, Simon, whatever this lady is saying, I think handling emotions, mood swings with ladies, how do you do that?
Yeah, it is easy. It's not that ladies are special people. I mean, my mother is a lady, my wife, my daughter is a lady. So as Mr. Maina says, one, the failure, at any time of a team does not develop, a team that has time to train and has the basic facility, the failure is the coach. So for that gentleman, if he failed to coach a girls' team, then the failure is his. It's not the girls. It's his problem, not the girls' problem.
Yeah.
So you've been answered, hopefully. Yeah, Adam Millie says, Amai Olubayi, my coach at St. George's, took us to the Nationals, first time in the history of that school at the time. Best coach ever. Thank you, Ada, for watching. Lynn Mwangi anakusalimia Mr. Maina. Yeah. Then she says, umetutoa mbali, which you've said, of course. Rachel Wangoi anakusalimia pia. Yes, Maggie Kinothia says, my high school coach. I think she was in Kerugoya.
I went to KU, played for KU. She left. Graduated. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me get another one. Someone says here, that is Jane Muragu, says, it all strings down to how funds are being misused by the heads of schools and even the coaches themselves. During admission year Form 1, we used to pay 1K for sports, and I believe it's normally done in all schools. Where does all that sports money go to? Well, that's
don't even find that but they are definitely the coaches. The coaches, in fact, do go out of their way to buy balls and sticks for the players.
Yeah.
okay.
And what happens is that you find that they do that to evade now purchasing those items. For a coach, it is to your advantage if the funds are used well. But the problem is that you have no control. Remember, you are just a teacher, you are just a coach in that school. So you don't know, if you want to question where that money went, you're digging your own grave, because that will be the end of your game. The principal says so and so will not play. You don't question. That is the end of it. So to avoid those things, there is an element of truth in whatever she is saying, but there is nothing much that you can do. You just sit down and watch. I told you there was a time I borrowed sticks. I went to the nationals. That is when we bought the sticks. And there is nothing you can do. You just go get mad. But you see now you're getting mad too. You just get used to it.
Yeah.
You work on it.
Yeah.
And I remember there's a principal who, Mrs. Njogona, she once told me, never fail when people want you to fail. The principal is pulling you down. Don't give up last time when she wants you to give up. Keep on working. And that is my policy to date. I don't just give up because somebody wants me to give up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rhoda Kuira says the man behind great talent of so many key players in Kenya today always believed in our potential. Carol Gushu says, BJ, my coach, the man behind my great talent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tracy Karanja says, Coach Olubayi, please name the 2 footballers.
Kuna watu wanajishuku.
One of them is Tracy Nungari Karanja. I will not name the other one.
Okay. So, I think I've read most of the comments, because most of these ones are basically saying Nisalamu. Thank you, for example, Eric, for watching, Collins for watching. We have Boka, who never misses a show. Thank you, Boka, for watching. And we have Dennis Owoka, who's the TM of Wolverines. He's also watching. Yeah. As we close the show, any final remarks on high school hockey, the ladies category? Let's start with Mr. Olubayi.
I think the coaches have done a good job. They've been doing it under very circumstances. What will be required in order to develop this game to a higher level is the development of structures. And that will come through the guidance of the Kenya Hockey Union. We are aware that Kenya Hockey Union is challenged financially and also in terms of its organizational structure. But there are simple things that can be done. For example, the Hockey Union doesn't have sufficient funds. But we are there on the ground. They don't pay us. But they can form linkages with us and help us become better coaches at no cost to them. At our cost, but they can give us the linkages and the support that we may need. Thank you.
Okay.
And probably one last question to you. We have a lot of young players or retired players who are looking to coach a ladies side in high school, or have started coaching a women's team, a very young women's team. What advice would you give them?
Mine is that when you come to the ladies, to the girls team, you're supposed to be very disciplined. And the misconception is that some people look at those small ladies and think of other things. It's the end of you if you start anything like that. You must be disciplined and see that these are students. It's only that, that is the time when they are growing. Their hormones are very hot. So you have to be very sober when dealing with small girls. And remember, when you're coaching these girls, that is a jail sentence. It's not about that there is any consent in anything. That is a jail term that you're talking about. So you have to be very disciplined. And nowadays it has become a challenge, because like the ministry has a policy that high school teams are not supposed to be coached by anybody who is not a teacher. You can also be out there. You train as a teacher. You are allowed, but not just anybody coming to school and training them and saying I'm the coach. And that is what you realize, that even when people go for nationals, they'll have 2 coaches. There is the teacher who is responsible, and the coach. The coach during that level is underground. You're not supposed to be seen. because it is not allowed that you're not a teacher, you're not a trained teacher, and you're training the girls, because the level of discipline has to be very high. And all that trouble was brought by drama. This training of drama when you're going for drama festivals, and that is where the problem started, because they would invite young boys and young men, and they would have other things apart from just training the girls.
Any last words from you?
Mine is to just call on Kenya Hockey Union, come to the grassroots. We have talent, but the talent just disappears after Form 4 because they don't even know where to go after that. Yeah.
Okay, Julie, over to you.
Mr. Olubayi, last comments, maybe.
Just thanks for hosting the show. It's part of how we shall grow the sport. I'll call on people like Mr. Maina. Keep the dedication. I know he goes out of his way to develop the talent. Let us keep doing it. And finally, if you guys can get access to KHU, ask them to form linkages with the schools. KHU cannot afford to establish academies. They're expensive. But our schools can be academies for KHU. Free. Thank you.
Okay, that was a really exclusive chat with you guys. I think behind us are people who have hockey at heart, and we've seen a lot of players from your schools, people you've nurtured out here. And I want to say, just keep up the good work. Don't get tired. Despite all the challenges, you guys are great, and you're great people. For our followers, continue following us at HockeyKE, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can watch our exclusive interviews. All of them are on our page. And thank you so much for your comments, your engagements. Keep on tuning into HockeyKE. And thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Mr. Maina, Mr. Olubayi, and Simon Mwangi. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, guys.
Cheers. Until we meet on another
Adios.
show, because I know we'll meet. So bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Maina.